things feel heavier here. Almost more complicated. Does that make sense?
Things are psychological here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a level of brokenness that takes years to undo or try to help or fix.
Years of psychological help.
And it feels daunting. Whitney, you've opened my eyes to a tragedy. More than 100 million orphans in the world. Can this really be true? We're losing generations of children to the orphan crisis. How did our world get here? How do we fix it? What's being done? These questions must be answered. These children need a voice. Let's take our cameras and go on a journey. Let's fight for children and for family. Let's be advocates and reclaim this lost generation, one story at a time.
We are in Oradea, Romania, and it's a beautiful picture of old meets new. The architecture is incredibly beautiful and inspiring. I love it. The people have been so warm, even though the weather is so bloody cold. Romania never ceases to surprise me. It is one of my favorite countries in the world, and every visit deepens my love for this unique place. But as beautiful as Romania can be, one can't avoid her dark past. The Iron Curtain of communism fell in Romania in 1989, and one of its horrific secrets was an estimated 500,000 children who had been raised in communist orphanages. Combine this with extreme poverty and propaganda about orphanage life, and you have the recipe for an orphan crisis that takes decades to recover. Today, Romania has an estimated 58,000 children in government care. So who's supposed to help these children in a place that can be hard enough to help yourself? What name does a child call when the cry for mom or dad falls silent? If you live in Oradea, you call for Karina.
I walk at night because I need some exercise, and I don't have time during day to do it, so I decided to do it in the night. And makes me clear my mind and also have moments with God when I'm thinking and just clear my thoughts.
Okay, so tell me about how you got involved in orphan care.
Well, I was in high school when the revolution came in Romania, and I was shocked, as many Romanians, when we saw on the TV what's behind the closed door of the orphanages.
What did you see?
We saw on the TV how children looked in there. They looked like in concentration camps, or Nazi concentration camps. That's how it looked in the...
Under the communist leader Nicolae Ceausescu, Romanians were being forced to have more children than they could afford. The solution was to place these children and those not deemed worthy of society into orphanages, which the government was proclaiming to be like paradise for children. But this was a lie.
So that was the propaganda made by the
They
communists.
lied to you.
They lied to the to people, yes.
Wow. And so what did you do at 18 years old? Like, what can you do?
There was a group from our church that got involved in volunteering in hospitals and orphanages, and we started going there just to spend time with children, hug them, brought them food because they're really like big bellies, skin and bones, and I realized I have to take them out of there. But I was very young. I didn't have the means to take them out. I was still living with my parents. And I started bringing children home at my parents'.
What did your parents think when you would start bringing kids home?
Well, they're okay after the third child I brought home, and then they said, you have to move if you want to do this. It's okay, but...
And this is exactly what Karina did. At the age of 19, she moved into her own apartment and started bringing home children that had been abandoned at the hospital. She nursed them back to health and loved them like they were her own. But she knew this wasn't a long-term solution and began finding families for the children.
Families, because I always believed that a family is the plan of God for every child.
That is amazing. When I graduated college, I think I was like chasing my own dreams and doing my own thing in life. But you were like already taking care of orphans.
Yeah, but that was my dream. So
wow.
I did actually what I wanted. It was no sacrifice. It was my wish, my dream. I loved what I did.
And what is your part? What are you doing here? Today, Karina and her team are legitimate social workers in Romania. This is a job that didn't exist when she was a teenager. But her goals haven't changed. Every day, she is fighting to get children out of the system and into loving families. Whether it's back with their biological family, an adoptive family, or a foster family, her dream is to see Romania without orphans. But do you know how many children you've helped?
A few hundreds, probably.
You've helped find families for a few hundred kids?
Mm-hmm. And some were placed back in their birth families.
Amazing. So what happens to children who end up spending their whole life in institutions?
They are very vulnerable to people trafficking. They do not know how to adapt to the social life. Because actually children are the next society, and what society will be if...
Absolutely.
Because abused children will become, many of them, abusers in the future. But loved children will become loving parents too.
It's true.
So it's many generations that are touched.
Well, I'm excited to spend more time with you and learn about the work going on in Romania. I'm excited to go on the ride with you and to meet some of the kids and to see the families that you've placed children in.
It's good. I'm glad I've met you.
Thank you. Likewise. Karina drives all over Western Romania visiting families and children. Today, she's taking me to meet two older boys that she's helped find a foster home. This may not seem like a big deal, but fostering is not that common in Romania.
Residential care, I don't know where to go. Because they blocked the street and I don't know how to get on the street.
We can walk for wherever. Încolo? M-a interzis acolo, griji.
He came to my rescue.
Aww, that's awesome.
Where are we?
Where the two boys live. Yeah, one of them is 16 and the other is 17.
All right.
And they have two sons also, same age, like 17, 18.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a home of teenage boys.
So it probably smells. Just kidding.
Here is Alex.
Hi, I'm Whitney.
Mariana, the foster mom, and Otilo.
Okay, so I would love to know about you guys. How did you find this family? How did you come to live with this family?
Alex was abandoned as a baby at the hospital. Eventually, he came under the care of Karina. Karina cared for Alex for about 6 months, but she knew that he needed a family. Karina advocated for him, and when he was a little over 2 years old, Alex came to live here with Mariana, her husband, and 2 new brothers.
Mom. Yeah. That's Mommy. And what about this young man right here?
My.
Yeah, you. How did you...
Artilo was also abandoned as a baby in the hospital. He was taken in by a foster family for 10 years, but eventually his foster family decided to move away, and they left him in a special needs orphanage.
And he prayed every day to God that he will have a Christian family.
Și Dumnezeu mi-a dat o familie bună.
And God gave me a good Christian family.
So, what does it mean to you to have a family, to have a mom and a dad?
În cuvintele tale.
Și mulțumită sunt pentru ei. Cum să zic?
He's grateful.
Artilo was so grateful that when he went back to school, he told everyone that he had a mom.
Introduced her to all the teachers and his classmates. This is my mom, this is my mom. He was so happy because he was the only one to have a mom.
So, what do these boys and this family mean to you, Karina?
Well, they are my children in a way. I hope Mariana doesn't mind, but they are my children in a way. Yeah. Alex, I know, was a baby. And Otila too, when I heard his story, I was so touched and I cried the whole night when I heard his story. And I prayed for him since then, and I'm glad that he came up in a family and he's okay.
Because they have been, like, specifically Attilo, he has been without a mom and a dad. What would he want to tell people to encourage them to care for children?
Că Dumnezeu să ajute și pe ei.
Both boys tell me they want to encourage other children who need a mom and a dad to not give up, to not be discouraged, that they too can someday have a family.
He was telling his foster mom how he would close himself in a corner and read the Bible and just pray that God will give him a family and will give him strength to endure the hard situation he was in.
And here you are, you have a family.
Și ai văzut că Dumnezeu te-a ascultat și ai o familie.
Your faith has inspired me. Thank you for not giving up.
Și mulțumesc că n-ai renunțat în toți anii aia.
You're welcome.
What do you think of Karina so far?
I think Karina is such a badass. She's tough and sensitive, and I don't mean this arrogantly at all, but I feel like we're very similar in this.
You give her amazing compliments and then you say she's just like you.
No, I mean, she is really kind and loves people, but she's strong-willed. And I really admire that in a woman leader.
What about this place has shocked you?
I looked at that boy today we were interviewing, and I can't imagine being 10 years old, your foster family that you've known your whole life leaves you. They move away and they leave you in an orphanage with handicapped children, and you're not handicapped. I just want to like hug him. Like, there were so many times today where I just wanted to literally wrap that boy up in my arms. I don't know, that just was like his hope and his faith just kind of like blew me away. It's almost midnight. We need to go to bed.
Okay. Good night.
I love you.
I love you. Before my first trip to Romania, I imagined it to be a dreary place, cold and uninviting. But the more time I spend here and the more people I meet,
I find a captivating warmth that speaks to my soul. Today is no different, as I have the opportunity to meet one of the many Romanian families that have adopted because of Karina's work.
These are very nice people.
Thank you.
Thank you. His name is Adrian, her name is Mihaela.
Nice to meet you.
And
Pleased to meet you.
they have adopted through our foundation, and they have adopted a child that not many people would have adopted.
Adrian and Mihaela adopted a boy named Danny who had been abandoned at the hospital at birth. Adoption is still relatively uncommon in Romania, but adopting a boy with a heart problem is almost unheard of.
I
Were you
don't know.
scared? Yeah, was it scary?
Yes, it
for
was.
sure.
We were scared. I guess
It's natural.
you
to be
can
scared.
you're not thinking properly if you are not scared in this kind of
You are not.
situation.
So true. And why did you initially want to adopt in the first place?
It's
How many time you have?
Interesting story.
I've got all the time in the world.
No. Unfortunately, we have.
After struggling for years with infertility and trying every avenue of medical help, Adrian and Mihaela were still childless. But one day they met a friend who had adopted through Karina and her team. They reached out to Karina with interest in adoption and were soon matched with little Danny.
We weren't prepared at that moment to adopt.
You didn't know that you could love a child
Yes.
that wasn't maybe from you.
Yes.
And now, though, that you have Danny,
It's
You
who
love him
said
so much.
Who said it's not ours? It's ours from
didn't
head to
know.
toe.
Absolutely.
We didn't know this can happen.
They don't know they can love a child that much.
but you love him so
It's
much.
one of the parents that love
Oh my
him.
gosh,
He's
you're
very-
gonna make me
he's ve-
cry.
he's very
He's
lovable.
crying. He's
No.
gonna make me cry.
As always, the child is a very sensitive point for him. And that
Yes.
should be for every parent.
So my husband and I, we also can't have children, and so meeting you guys, now I'm gonna cry.
Now,
Meeting you guys is
good to cry.
inspiring because you guys love your child and you adopted.
That's why we are now here today, to inspire other people.
I understand you quite well. If it's that the problem, I understand what's in your heart.
I didn't know we were gonna connect like this.
Don't. It will be fine. You know.
Well, but you guys and your love for Danny and your pushing through the pain and the heartache is really inspiring for me and Nick. So we're
Yeah.
very thankful to know you, and so incredibly thankful that you guys chose to adopt, because like Karina's been saying, so many children need parents and need
Yes.
loving parents here.
There are.
And especially a child that
Fortunately,
has
and,
special needs, it's very difficult to find a family. So I thank God for every family that decided to take a child.
I don't want to. I don't
It's
want to
not
sound
easy.
brave or
It's not
something.
They do acknowledge the difficulties ahead, as Danny is in need of another heart surgery, but they see it as something that could have happened to a biological child. And even if there are trials in the future, Danny is worth it.
His love, his joy that he brought in our family. It's
Priceless.
What advice or words of wisdom would you give parents, people out there who are thinking about adopting as well?
to go through it, to try, because
try.
it's
To dare, to
the,
dare.
the fulfillment. It's unbelievable.
What does Karina and the work that she's doing here mean to you guys and your family?
It's like
Being part of our family in one way, because he bring the happiness in our family with her work.
That's nice. Thank you.
We thank you, Karina, and honestly, thank you for everything.
Okay, can I get Mama? Can I get you to laugh?
As I meet more families that are a result of Karina's work, I'm in awe of the hope that she has brought to this community. But her work doesn't stop here. She also makes trips to villages, sometimes hours away, to fulfill the duties of being a social worker. Today, we are visiting a Roma village to speak with a family that abandoned their child 16 years ago.
Good question. I have to evaluate the situation, if the situation of the birth family has changed. But this one we are going now, the reaction of the birth family is something like this. Why do you bother me again? You've been many times to me, and I told you every time I do not want this child.
Like they think they can't provide for the kid, or they genuinely
No, they
don't want the
simply
kid?
do not want the child.
I feel like in every country I've ever been to, it's not because they don't want the kid, it's because they don't think they can care for the kid.
Well, yes, she's poor, but she could provide for this child if she wanted. She simply did not want the child. That's what she said.
So depressing.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Tot așa arată și strada aia altă. Nu știu, parcă...
After talking with some of the community, we find out that the mother has gone to France. It's common for people in the Roma community to travel to parts of Western Europe to find work. But we are still required to find another relative who will sign the paper saying they do not want the child. This takes us to another Roma village where we find an uncle of the girl.
Așa. Și puneți aici fără să... Așa. Numai lipiți și gata. Nu mișcați.
Because he has never learned to read or write, he must sign the paper with a fingerprint.
Perfect. Foarte bine.
As we head home, the brokenness of this situation weighs heavy on my heart. This child is not wanted by anyone in her family. This is complicated because she was abandoned by people who were never taught how to be parents themselves. I don't know how Karina carries the weight of her job, but her passion and jovial personality help to keep my spirits up.
The other one with the matches.
Was it working? The fire going?
I don't know, because I was like, what are you doing? They want to get your butt on fire or what?
So what's next then for your organization?
I have the dream that with Romania Without Orphans Alliance, we can have this goal, like every child in Romania, to have a family.
Yes. That's 58,000 children.
Yes, I know.
We need
Sounds impossible.
A big movement to happen here. That would be the best thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really thankful that I got to know you and that I got to learn from you and be inspired by you. When people ask me who are my heroes, you're gonna be one of my heroes. You are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
But I thank you for coming and for doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And, I'm glad I've met you, and I hope we'll remain friends.
Oh, of course we will. We need to get you on Instagram, though.
I don't know how to work with that Instagram, but
I love Instagram.
I'll learn it.
Love Instagram.
I just want to know what your takeaway was from that interview earlier today. What?
I never, ever, ever in my entire life would imagine sitting in Romania and sitting with a really large man and crying with him. He and I were the only two that were crying. I really enjoyed my time with him. But to hear this couple say they were married for 19 years before they adopted their son.
Wait, I missed that. It was 19 years? Wow. No wonder that man was crying.
No. And they chose to not adopt a healthy baby. They chose to adopt a baby with a heart problem.
Right? Like, to go through all that and then adopt a risky baby. I feel like I would be like, okay, we are going to adopt the safest possible thing to make sure this doesn't go bad. I feel like all over the world, we're meeting these modern day saints. These people that you won't know about them until they're gone, maybe.
Karina's amazing. She's daily in the grind. Like, legitimately giving her life to the orphans of Romania. I'm blown away by her.
I've never fully believed the saying that one person can make a difference. But my time with Karina has taught me different. She and her team are relentless in their pursuit to see Romania without orphans. She has every reason to stop, but she won't. she will continue to fight for the lives of children and showing the hope and power of a family. Karina is changing the face of the Romanian orphan crisis, and most people have never even heard her name. I think that's because heroes, real, true heroes, are so focused on others that they don't have time to think about themselves.
We've met so many people who are so passionate about orphan care and ethically caring for vulnerable children that I'm so hopeful for Romania and the orphan crisis here.
As I've watched Karina, I've realized that I can endure more. I can keep going. I can push through my pain because children are worth it. And as I walk this road, I will take comfort in knowing that Karina is walking it with me. For the orphans of this world, may we never give up, my friend.
Whitney, I see your hope, but I also see your broken heart. All these children who need a mom only makes it harder that you are not one. But I believe the stories you are telling are making a difference. Someday this crisis will end. You're brave, you're strong, and I know you won't give up. Where will you take me next?